Hi, you are listening to Raw Organism, a flowcast where I question everything I think I know and don't know. Like, why do I do the things I do? How can I unlearn to relearn? It's about some personal stories, low moments, funny adventures, nutrition, mental and physical health. Anyways, big questions like, how the hell do I do this thing called life? Stay tuned. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good day, good evening, or good night, wherever you are. I hope you've had a lovely week, a lovely day, a lovely weekend, depending on what time you are listening to this. I myself am having a wonderful day. It is raining currently, but I'm working from home. And so that feels amazing. That feels really great. Because when it's a quiet day, I get to do other things as well. And that's amazing. There's 24 hours in a day. And sometimes it feels like you need more. Sometimes I definitely feel like I would need more. You know, when you start taking care of yourself, and I mean really taking care of yourself, it takes time. It takes a lot of your time. I started waking up at like 5:30 in the morning, and I know some people wake up earlier, but I definitely want to wake up around 5. I think I'm going to do that. And since it is going to be a new year very, very soon, I think that's probably something I'll implement or do. But yeah, currently I wake up at 5:30 in the morning, and I tap my stomach. I drink some herbal tea or water, and then I tap my stomach. And usually I need to go to the bathroom for both number 1 and 2. Yay! It's a celebration in the morning. Whenever I have a bowel movement, now I'm like very, very happy, because it means my metabolic system is like metabolism. Yeah, it's working really well. And so now I am happy, because it wasn't the case before. But then I'll get into that over time. But yeah, so I tap my stomach, I tap my chest, I massage my hands, my feet, I breathe in deeply, exhale through the nose, all of that, mouth closed. Usually at that point I feel very grateful. And then once I'm done all that, and just that on the bed can take me like 20 minutes. And that's because I stop myself because I have other things to do, you know what I mean? But if it was up to me, I probably could stay on the bed for like above 30 minutes just doing that. And so when I'm done doing like tapping and stuff and the breathing and stuff, I get up and then I jump. I don't have I don't have like the what's it called, the mini trampoline. Like I don't have that, but it's the same thing. I just jump, and that is great because it increases my heart rate a little bit. So yeah, I do that. I jump, and if at that point I didn't go to the bathroom yet, I will most likely go to the bathroom at that point. And then after I do that, I stretch a little bit, still breathing, deeply, intentionally. And then, yeah, what do I do after? Yeah, I get ready for work. I always brush the cats. And then I either sweeping and the litter every morning, or I do the litter, and then my partner later will do like the sweeping and the dishes, if there are any dishes in the sink. But yeah, so every morning is something like this, and it allows me to start my day kind of like very like in a very good way. And whenever I wake up, I never touch my phone. I've stopped touching my phone a while ago. I cannot remember when. Maybe, like, I feel like it's safe to say 2 years ago, or at least a year and a half ago. But yeah, so that's been very, very helpful. I love it. I love waking up, and the only time I start checking my phone is when I reach work, actually. And sometimes I sit down, I start doing things, and I don't get to my phone, and it feels really amazing, not to have that kind of like stress, to see who messaged you, whatever, yeah. So, and then, after work, a lot of time you have like you go to the gym, and then after that you have to come home. And if you eat healthy, you have to prep your meals. And I don't like prepping for the whole week, because then it just sits in the fridge. And the longer the food that's prepared sits in the fridge, it's not as good to consume. Like it kind of starts going bad. You kind of want to avoid that. I try to limit it to like 2 days. But then again, it's not often that I cook like that. Now we have like mostly raw and some cooked items. But yeah, so every other day I like make food for, the next day and the following day probably, or something like this, but nothing more than like 3-4 days, right? And so obviously that takes time. And then sometimes by the time I'm done, especially if it's after the gym, like by the time I'm done all of this, it's probably already like past 8. And then I try to stop eating around like 7. And usually at that point I'm gonna have something very light, like a smoothie bowl or some fruits or something very, very light. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I go to bed at like 10 or past 10. But then I try to stop all screens at least an hour or two before bed. And I try to stop at least 3 hours before bed. So, once you start taking all of these in, like I do admit that the day kind of tends to, like you feel like you might need more time maybe to do just like even reading, but so it's adjusting my lifestyle to things I want to do. Anyways, responsibilities. But yeah, it's kind of the place I am at right now, where I'm trying to like find, I want to make food, but then after the food I want to try to make sure I have some time to like draw or read or write or do something a little creative. But then before bed I want to try to maybe stretch, maybe breathe, maybe meditate. And that in itself also takes some kind of time. Like if I want to meditate, then it means obviously like the drawing and the stuff. Like I can't spend as much time during the week as I would want to. But then during the weekend I have to do my hair, I have to like deep clean our apartment, because every Saturday we like do a good cleaning. So it's like the weekend passes very fast, and sometimes you feel like you had no time for yourself, and during the week like you feel like you had no time for yourself. But at the same time, everything you do is for yourself in a way. Like everything I do, the making sure I eat at certain times, making sure I eat the right foods, even though it might feel like it takes some time to prepare whatever. Sometimes I feel like it's not for me because it takes my time and I want to do other things. But at the same time, when I observe it, it's like, everything I do is for me and is for my benefit, right? So I'm kind of in that weird situation. It's kind of, it's a little weird. But anyways, long tangent. So that's kind of how my week is going, is like figuring this all out. But let me start with a quote that I took from a book I read. And the book I really like. So the quote is, "The universal disease of mankind," Buddha taught, "is ignorance, and wisdom the only remedy." And it's from a book called Healing and Occult Sciences by J. Croiset von Uchelen. And the book is from 1947. And I used to hate reading. I don't think anyone really hates reading. I think it's more so that you need to find the books you will enjoy. And when I find a book that I enjoy, under 3 days, it can be gone. But then when I enjoy it, but not as much, then it can take me a while. I might not even ever finish it, and I'll fall asleep, and like it becomes this whole thing, And that used to happen to me a lot. My dad used to force me at some point. I didn't like it at all, because for him, not doing anything is reading. Whenever he's not doing anything, he's reading. He can read a book a day. Like he's been ever since he could start reading when he was a child. He's been into books. So I'm pretty sure per year he reads a book a day at least. And maybe some days he's busy, so maybe not. But I would think he's about as close as minimum 300 books per year. I'm pretty sure. I would bet on that. And maximum 365, like whatever the year is, maybe a little above, maybe slightly below, but somewhere like this. Like he's a bookworm, but then I didn't like it, but I think it's because the books just didn't give me what I wanted at that time. And now that I read books that are from for health purposes, right, and talking about the body or occult sciences or occultism or esoteric knowledge and exoteric knowledge, I find that I really love it, because what is almost just mind-blowing to me is the fact that a lot of the things that we say are new discoveries are actually not. And you can see that when you read those books, right? And to me it's so fascinating, amazing, and also what the fuck, because how can we say, oh, new discovery today, who new science, but then that stuff existed a long time ago. They discovered it a long time ago. And I really think sometimes with technology, people be thinking yeah, because we have the technology, we're more advanced, yeah, yet we're unable to comprehend how the hell the pyramids were made to a point where they are so precise. It's almost impossible to imagine how they did it without any of the technologies we have today, right? So we like to believe that because we have technology, we're smarter. And I tend to think it's actually the opposite, because technology does a lot of things for us. Even in medicine, when you think about it, I used to watch a show. It was a French show a while ago. And it was these doctors from France, So obviously they have the good hospitals, etc., latest technologies, right? And they go on a trip to Asia or Africa or South America, where they go into villages or small towns, or even the main cities, the ones that I like technology or don't have enough of the new technology to do a diagnosis or do a surgical do surgeries, and stuff like this, right? And so most of the times the doctors were fascinated with the fact that how are you guys able to diagnose this type of disease or this type of condition with just touching the patient or looking at the patient? Meanwhile, in Europe, right, where I'm coming from, I do so with the use of technology, right? But when you don't have the technology, you're forced to use all the things, use your other senses to kind of find the diagnosis or what is wrong with the patient. And I think that applies to a lot of other things. When you don't have the technology and you have to come up with certain things, your brain will work in a way where you'll become creative, you'll have critical thinking, you'll ask yourself questions, right? You're going to try to come up with something, and your brain is going to work, and eventually over time you're going to figure it out. If tomorrow technology is shutting down, we are fucked, because a lot of us rely on our phones. We don't know how to grow food. We how many of us continuously use like Google Maps, to go to locations? Like it's like we're relying on all these items that are meant to make our lives easy, right? But unfortunately, it comes at a cost. And sometimes I'm thinking if something happens tomorrow with like internet, everything relies on internet, bro. Like a satellite or satellites shut down. The banks already, I know not so long ago, we had like a whole day where Visa was not working and a lot of people didn't have cash, you know what I mean? So you go to the store, you can't pay with like a card, so you need to use cash. You don't have enough cash or you don't have cash at all. Like it stopped a lot of people. Like you're now wondering, okay, what? How do I do this? You don't remember because maybe you haven't experienced life before. Or, you're just not thinking about it anymore, right? It's just like a disaster. We're never thinking, oh, what if there's an earthquake tomorrow? Am I prepared? Because we never think it's going to happen. And recently I had that thought because here in Vancouver, just like LA or like California or like that whole West Coast, right, where we're at an earthquake, like what's it called? I have the name in my brain right now. You know what I mean, because I don't want to sit here trying to it's in my brain. I see it, but I can't make it come out. So here we could have like an earthquake. I'm not calling it, but it could be a possibility. Just not when I'll be here. I'll be long gone, okay? I won't be in this city if ever that happens. I claim it. I don't want it. I'll be somewhere away from here. But if it was to happen tomorrow, I just realized I'm completely unprepared. Like what would I do? The first thing I would want to do would be to like find my partner. Okay, well, what if she's at work? She's gonna want to find me. So if I go and find her and she leaves work or wherever she is to come and find me, like, okay, how do we meet? How, like, our phones might not be working, so how do we do this? In terms of food, how the hell, like, and I pictured myself totally going to steal in stores because I mean, like, why not? No one will be thinking about, oh, hey, you need to pay before you leave. Hell no, everyone is in distress. So I was thinking, I might break into stores and just take food. And then I was like, okay, well, what if I'm at work? It's far. Like, should I have her meet me there? But then it's like a whole organization that we really don't think about. And then the day it happens, you don't want to find yourself in a position where you're like wondering about your loved ones and where they are, and the fact that you never talked about meeting, and if you go there, will they be there or will I be somewhere else? Will we meet? What's happening to them? Like, you don't want to be in this situation. So this is exactly the same. It's like, we rely on all these technologies and we fail to realize at the end of the day, you are still human, okay? Nature is bigger than us. If tomorrow nature decides to do some fucked up thing, we will be unprepared. 90% of us on this planet will be unprepared, and it's gonna be chaotic. And I don't want to be unprepared. So I really need to start thinking about it. Not that I want to claim it again, but you still need to think about these things, right? That's the whole point. So anyways, that was a long intro. But let's move on. So I wanted to talk about... it is a flowcast, so I flow, I go here, I go there. It doesn't really matter, but still, you kind of want, like, I kind of want to talk about certain things. So I came on here because I wanted to talk about hypothyroidism because I was, the thing is, I don't like to say that I was diagnosed with it because, and I don't even want to say that this is something I had, because had because I don't even know, and I'm not even gonna check that. I had because that's what I've been told. I did the blood works, etc., right? But right now I've been off of my hormones, like my pills, for since we're in December and 2023, and I stopped my hormones on the was it June 10th of this year. So I don't want to say that I have it anymore because I don't want to claim it. It's like it's a condition that was there that I am healing, or working on healing, or you get my drift. I don't know what would be like a good term to say that I have it but I don't have it, but I am healing it, but I, like, you know what I mean. So I want to talk about it because when I was trying to look for hypothyroidism and how to heal it naturally, or what would be the steps to do if ever I wanted to get rid of my hormones, it was hard to find, you know. I did find one video on YouTube at some point, and they said they were talking about, I think it was a husband and a wife, and both on like the thyroid hormones, talking about how they got rid of it, and that was pretty helpful. But outside of that, it was always like snippets here, snippets there, and the video was not really talking about like hypothyroidism, right? Even in podcasts, I just got little bits of here and there on like, you know, like videos, or like doctors I follow who just happen to be talking about it but for a short period of time, and not give it a focus. But yeah, so I was I guess diagnosed in July 2020. And at the time I went and saw like probably three different doctors. And the first one was a man, and I told him I had like shoulder spasm, like it was very, very uncomfortable. My neck was sore, my shoulders were sore all the time, and he said that I'm young, I'm probably am tired, and he gave me like a Voltaren. Is it Voltaren, the cream for muscle soreness, whatever? And he said he even gave it to me for free, and he pat my shoulders. He said, I'm young, I'll be fine. So obviously that didn't do anything, and I was disappointed because I was like, not normal. And I was probably 25 or 25, I think, at that point. Maybe 25. And then after that, I think for the longest time I went to I tried physiotherapy and chiropractor. It didn't really do anything, and that was with two different practitioners. So first was a medical doctor, then I went to chiropractor. In the beginning it seemed to work, but then it didn't really work after. It didn't change anything at all, and they didn't think to question me about, okay, well, if it's not working, you might have an underlying condition, right? And then after that, I went to another doctor a little bit after that, and she's the one who mentioned, oh, you might have maybe hypothyroidism, we should test you for it. And I was like, I looked on Google and I was like, this seems very accurate, the symptoms, etc. And I will tell you, I thought my cat was on the kitchen counter, which I would bust her ass open. Yeah, okay, so no, I wouldn't. I would probably raise my voice. Okay, the girl is having the zoomies. I don't even want to look at it, because sometimes honestly, I swear, like, it feels like she's seeing a ghost or some shit like that, and then she runs from the sofa to the bedroom really fast. She tends to be crazy, but yeah. So she tested me and she said it came back negative, and at that point I was like, no, I'm persuaded it is. Okay, so if you heard that, that's the cat running like a crazy person. I don't want to... Yeah. Anyway, Sissy, stop. Yeah. Okay. So it came back negative, and at that moment, she was like, okay, well, like, I don't think I ever talked to her after that, because I was like, I'm pretty persuaded I have it. And at that point, I decided to go see a naturopathic doctor. And if I ever go deeper in the story, I'll come back to it. But she basically, when I went to find her, she said, you most likely have it. And she explained to me that in Canada, I think it's in Canada or BC, but in Canada, they only test for one hormone and not the other two. And so sometimes the other two, which might be the first to be impacted, right, before it affects the larger one, the one that they test, like sometimes they start going like bad or deficient, right? And so I will test you for all, like the full panel, and I had to pay it because it's a private practice, so I paid for the blood work. And she said, yeah, you do have it. And at that time, actually, she explained very fast the results, but keep in mind, I'm not a doctor, right? So you can explain the results to me. How the hell am I supposed to know what's normal in those results or not? I have to believe you. I have to, like, if you say, oh, you should be within this norm, like these two numbers, and you are below, obviously I'm gonna be like, well, okay, I should be in between that and not below, so it means I have something. But in the research I was making like this year, right, I found a lot of doctors who actually were saying that some patients are on different numbers, right? And some of them do better between a certain numbers, and others would do better on another set of numbers, and others do better on another set of numbers. And so they explain that it varies from one person to another. So there's not really like like you want to be in between in some ways. You don't want to be excessively low, excessively high, but there's not like an amount in between that is very specific to where everyone should be, right? And so that's what I understood at that point. And with what I learned is that, yeah, there are different levels that for someone it will affect them more than the others. They'll need to be on a higher level, if it makes sense. And so, yeah, so honestly, that was 2020. And at that time, I still had school. I was working part-time. So I didn't have like the energy to look. I was very exhausted. I was just looking to getting better. I was very fatigued. I was just I just wanted a break for a while, right? I didn't have the power after that to research, but I always told myself that, I don't want to take pills for the rest of my life, because essentially that's a lot of the time what they tell you is that it's for the rest of your life. And I remember asking, okay, well, where is it coming from, right? And so we went over my history, and there's a big point there that I will give the full story later, because I believe this is where my hypothyroidism actually started. But at the time, it's not like she explained, she did say this is the point where it might have started. But then she didn't say anything as to like, okay, well, basically she said, now that you have it, it's there, it's for your life, right? And she's a naturopathic doctor. So she put me on natural desiccated like pig hormones, right? And then from there, I started doing IVs for vitamins because I was very low on vitamin B12, etc., like zinc, magnesium, all that stuff, right? And yeah, so this is how basically it started for hypothyroidism, like treatments, right? So I let it go for a little bit because, like I said, I was in school. And at the time I was very fatigued, very low. I was aching. I just wanted to get on the hormones, feel better, and not have to focus on, okay, how am I going to not have this for the rest of my life, And so I just kind of like started the hormones and did not think about it for a while until this year, where I really started thinking about it and researching. Because I remember a year and a half ago, a year and a half ago, I was going to acupuncture, and I found this amazing guy here in Vancouver, BC, and he told me himself, like, you know, you don't need to be on the hormones for the rest of your life if you have a like if you eat good foods, you know, if you have a varied like diet, like a variety of food, like a varied diet, etc. You should be fine, you know. So you cannot rely on pills all the time, like or on your hormones. You're gonna have to eventually find a way to find a balance without the hormones. And at that moment, I realized when he mentioned that I was scared and I was dependent on my hormones, and that scared me because I realized that I was scared not to take my hormones, and I really realized that I kind of was dependent on it, and it hit me, and I was like, no, I can't have this, you know what I mean? So at that point I think that came into my mind a lot, and I was like, okay, no, this is not something that's possible. Eventually I'm gonna have to find how I'm going to do this, right? But let's see. So I believe one out of 10 people probably in North America has like a thyroid issue, and it is very important to address, because I don't think a lot of people know about hypothyroidism or even hyperthyroidism, right? Because many of the symptoms that I had and that people have or experience could be things that we consider normal, or things that are seen as like things that we normalize until the symptoms are maybe too present or chronic, higher than normal maybe. That now, or you're like, okay, like maybe now I should get checked, right? But I'm gonna say this again, that like symptoms, as small as they might be, are ways for your body to communicate with you that something is off. And it can be as small as feeling fatigued every morning when you're supposed to have a good night's sleep. If you're completely healthy, you should be waking up refreshed and like energized, right? And a lot of people are waking up and still feeling fatigued. If you still feel fatigued and you feel like you need a coffee to wake yourself up, you might want to explore what's going on, because as small as it might be, it's just fatigue, it might be an underlying issue of just something else, right? And even if it's not anything major, you don't want to have to rely on like coffee. And I know I didn't want to say that I was relying on it. I want to say that I love the taste, and that's why I was drinking coffee, right? And for me, I didn't really see how it didn't really energize me. What I noticed was cutting my hunger. I still was tired at the end of the day. I didn't feel like a lot of energy, you know what I mean? So I was like, it's not really doing anything to me. Lo and behold, it is totally doing something to me. And I know I was drinking coffee every day because I enjoyed the taste. I enjoyed the habit that came with waking up and going to get coffee, especially during COVID, right? Like you're working from home, and I was freelancing at the time, or starting to do that. So I wake up and then I go get my coffee. It's sunny. It was during the summer, and you take your iced coffee. It tastes really good. You have a little pastry with it in the morning, as sunny. I go for a little stretch and like really good. Lo and behold, it was just making me dehydrated. It was sucking all my vitamins, and I was drinking water, but water is not enough hydration when you drink coffee. And if you drink more than 1 cup a day, you probably are dehydrated, unless you eat a lot of fruits and a lot of like vegetables during the day, but especially a lot of fruits, because fruits have a lot of water in them, and it's not like water you find in the bottle or tap water like H2O. It's something that you call H3O. It resembles coconut water. So basically coconut water is hydrating a lot because it has a lot of the what's it called, what are those pills? Why are things escaping my mind right now? Give me a minute. Oh, it's right there, and I know. Electrolytes. There you go. So coconut water has a lot of electrolytes, right? And that is actually what's hydrating you. And in flat water, like in water you find, like in water bottles and stuff like this, there's no electrolytes, right? And so that's why you have like people in sports adding that pill in the water, because you feel more hydrated. It's scientifically proven that electrolytes like keep you hydrated longer. But the thing is, you don't need that pill to put in your water for it. If you eat fruits, or you make like a fruit juice, or you eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, you are hydrating. And that's why there are a lot of people actually, they don't even bother drinking water. And that sounded crazy, but it actually, when I think back on it, it's not, because there's water in fruits. Like if you take a cucumber is like 96% water. Watermelon's 96 or 97% water. So all of that is actually water, and water that your body recognizes and can use immediately, and that actually keeps you hydrated longer, and it's better hydration because it naturally has all the electrolytes. And so that's why I was drinking my water. It didn't do shit. My skin was still a little dry. On top of that, I had a little bit of like a eczema prone skin, right? Creams were not really working. I still had to use like an eczema like balm, like cream, like, you know, those thick creams. It didn't matter how much water I was drinking. It wasn't doing shit. And I really saw that when I started juicing, because when I was juicing, to kind of save more on like juicing and see the expenses, I was doing like 2 liters of juice, and then 1 liter of regular water, and 1 liter of coconut water. So I was barely having water. The majority of my water was basically 3 liters of coconut water and juices, like fruit juices, and 1 liter a day, or sometimes no water at all. And I felt more hydrated than ever before. My skin was better. My skin was not itchy anymore. As a matter of fact, around that time, I let go of all the products, right, when I was juicing. And this is something I'm going to go over, like my experience juicing. And I think I'm going to talk about it with Ash, because she has another perspective on it that's very interesting. But yeah, so I realized at that moment, at the time when my naturopathic doctor said like, I needed IVs because I was depleting, the more I'm going to drink coffee, I'm going to deplete myself of like those vitamins, right? And she was saying, you might need to be careful with coffee or limit your amount, right? Because it actually dehydrates you and depletes you of your vitamins. And I think while I was juicing, I realized how much hydration I was lacking, and what coffee did to me, you know. But yeah, so anyways, I thought that was something very interesting to mention, because a lot of the time, like, people are like, you need to drink more water, you're dehydrated. Yeah, but you might drink a lot of water, but the reality is that water is kind of like flushing you down. Yeah, it's like it's coming in, it's like cleaning you inside, right? But in terms of like hydration, it has no potassium, it has no zinc, it has no magnesium, and these are the electrolytes. These are the ones that keep you hydrated. And so that's why fruits and vegetables, but especially fruits, because they are higher in water content, will give you that hydration that you actually need, on top of like the vitamins and the antioxidants and all of that is very good for you. But yeah, so in terms of hypothyroidism, it's been around for a while. It's not a new thing. And I think because a lot of the symptoms, like I said, are like things you can experience on your daily life, you might not realize that you like iodine. And the thing is, I never knew because my doctor never told me, right, that a lot of the time, the reason why you might have hypothyroidism, not hyper, but hypothyroidism, is simply because you might be iodine deficient. And I had no idea what iodine is. Yes, I did, but I didn't know it was related to the thyroid and how much it was important for the proper function of the thyroid gland, right? I had no idea. And I think since this is so important, it's definitely something she could have tested me for. She could have been like, oh, before we put you on hormones, just so you know, hypothyroidism might come from the simple fact that you have like a big deficiency in iodine, especially if you don't eat seafood, especially if you don't eat seaweeds like algae and sea plants, because sea plants are high in iodine, and you don't really find it anywhere else. That's your best source, and if you eat seafood but you don't eat seafood a lot, and I hated seafood. I hate seafood in general, except for maybe salmon, but I won't have it a lot, right? I didn't used to have it a lot. Definitely not. So now I see how, I was totally deficient in iodine. And I can see, I was barely having any sea plants, except for seaweeds here and there maybe, but rarely. And then I was definitely not having seafood because I don't like it. So I was probably very deficient in iodine, and I would have appreciated if she had mentioned how important it can be, or it is for the thyroid, for hypothyroidism specifically. And she didn't do so, right? Because obviously if you correct that deficiency, then you might not even need the hormones, right? And so now that I reflect back on it, it's kind of annoying because it's like, it's a private practice. I had to spend all that money, and at the time it helped, but guess what? Now it taught me a lot. It taught me that I was depending on the doctor to guide me, to save me, to help me heal this, or to help me feel better. And that's when I realized I cannot rely on anyone. I am responsible for myself. My health is my responsibility. I don't trust anyone else with my health, except maybe, my partner, my family, whatever. But in terms of doctors, I know that doctors are, at the end of the day, just human beings. I know that doctors, a lot of them they are taught, but they don't have that. They're practicing what they've been taught. So a lot of them won't even know, right? And some of them, they'll know and they'll still give you a pill or something that can affect you badly because it comes with money. Let's just be honest. Medicine is also a business, right? And that's why here, especially here in Vancouver, you can see how money is a business and medicine is a business, because you have people shooting themselves with fucking fentanyl. And we live not far from it. I see high people every day. People who are, most of the people who are addicted to fentanyl come from having nice, decent lives and their jobs. And unfortunately, they had some type of an accident and they ended up having this pill pushed into them, and they were told it's fine, it's secure, it's not a problem. But everyone knew that shit is addictive as fuck. Everyone still knows it's still being around. You know what I mean? So medicine, unfortunately, is a business, right? The more you have sick people, the more you have people coming back to you, and now you find yourself in a situation where the sicker you are, the more money you have to spend towards medication. And we're in a place in our society right now where everything is so expensive. No one wants to have to choose between their rent and their medication, right? And so that's where I am realizing that, I cannot depend on another person. Yes, they go to school, but but at the end of the day, it's always in the back of my mind, just like anything else. Okay, where is this person coming from? Who taught them? And what institution taught them? And what's the institution views and their goal and stuff like this, right? And so it might not be the doctor's fault, but at the end of the day, I don't ever want to rely on them, right? So that's why I decided to take my health in my own hand, because if I depend on someone else, then I would have stayed on my hormones right now, and I would still feel the same way. And now I am without my hormones, and I feel way better. Because with my hormones, I went from being extremely fatigued to feeling energy, right? Energized all the time. And I was like, oh, I'm finally back to being me. But then it plateaued. And then I was like, is this me? I'm like, no, I still feel tired all the time. Even when I go get my IVs, even after my IVs, I'm lying to myself that I feel better after. Yeah, I have maybe less soreness, but I still feel low. And I'm not supposed to. And I was on my hormones for like 3.5 years, and I was still having issues sleeping. I mean, I was still having mood swings. I'm like, and it's not like she was even testing for readjusting the quantity, right? The grams I was taking. Like, no, not even that. So anyway, so I was like, I'm not doing this, right? So, but okay, so for everyone who, and I probably should have started with this, but it doesn't matter because right now I'm gonna go over it. So, the thyroid gland is the butterfly-shaped gland that's in your throat, and that is part of your endocrine system. And I think you have 7 or 8 glands that are part of it. And it's basically associated with the throat chakra, right? It's the throat chakra point. And let's go over basically the functions of the thyroid gland and why it's basically important, right, in the body, because it's so small, but it actually is very, very, very important. And I think it's worth for a lot of people, or everyone actually, to keep track of it and see how it's doing, because a lot of the time some things you might be experiencing might come from having an issue with the thyroid, right? Because it regulates a lot of stuff, like, for example, it regulates your metabolism, right? So the thyroid hormones, there's one that's called T3, it's triiodothyronine, and then there's a T4 that's a thyroxine, and they play like a key role in how your body basically uses energy. So they influence your metabolic rate, and that in itself determines how quickly your calories are burned, which then that impacts your weight, obviously, and your body regulation in terms of temperature and your overall energy levels. It also controls the growth and development of like your body or your brain. Like, for example, in children, right? The thyroid is very important for proper physical and mental development. And if you have a deficiency in the thyroid hormones during your early moments of lives, like a child, it can lead to developing issues such as like cognitive like impairments, right? So you'll have like delayed intellectual development, and that in itself can result in like a reduced IQ or like having learning disabilities if it's not treated. Also, it might impair your language, so you might have like language delays and speech difficulty and a hard time like communicating, or like have a lack of communication skills. And from that too, there's obviously, like I said, growth issues where you have like a delayed bone development, and it makes the bones grow slower, and so essentially you don't grow as tall as maybe God intended you to grow. So you might be shorter, and so who knows? You never know. At some point, you had like a little issue when you were a child with like your thyroidism. Maybe you're short because your bones didn't develop like fully or at the rate they were supposed to, and so you end up being like shorter. I don't know. And also, yeah, so it can also impact your more like motor skills, and meaning like you'll have like poor reflexes, such as like what you'll like normal reflex responses to certain like actions or what's it called? Yeah, you'll like physical coordination, like sitting, crawling, etc., like walking. From that, you'll also have like a delayed puberty, so irregularities in like the reproductive system, sorry, for women, and I believe, especially for kids, if it's not treated or it goes undiagnosed, it can lead to what they call cretinism. And it's basically severe intellectual disabilities, stunt growth, very coarse facial features and swollen tongue, poor muscle tones, and yeah, that's on top of all the other issues that I just mentioned that are tied to like a cognitive impairment in like children, right? So that's for children. But anyway, so in general, I mentioned the metabolism, I mentioned the growth and development, and that was all a part of it. And then you have the part where it also maintains your heart and your muscle functions, right? So it helps regulate your heart rate, your blood pressure, your muscle contractions. So if you have like an overactive or underactive thyroid, it can lead to palpitations, fatigue like I had, muscle weakness like I had as well, or muscle soreness and spasm. You will also have issues with your nervous system. So proper levels of the thyroid hormones are very important for your brain health, and especially your mood stability and your overall cognitive function, like I just explained. But your mood stability is very important and is regulated by the thyroid and the hormones that comes with it, right? So I think I did mention that, yes, it regulates your temperature, your heat production internally. It will help in the promotion of like having healthy skin, healthy hair, healthy nails. If you have like a lack of it or too much of it, you'll have like a problem with like dry skins or like brittle nails, or even maybe hair loss. Obviously for women, but men as well. But for women, it especially plays a major importance in like regulating menstrual health and fertility. So you might have like if you have an imbalance, you might have issues actually getting pregnant, or because you have like irregular cycles and stuff like this. Like you might have pregnancy complications. It's very it's like a long list of things that can be tied to a lot of other different things that you, I think, would not think about necessarily it being tied to the thyroid, right? Because another thing that is very important is that it helps regulate your digestion. So it will impact your gastrointestinal motility, like meaning it'll help regulate how efficiently food moves through your digestive tract, right? And the reason why it's so crucial is because without a properly functioning thyroid, your body's energy levels can swing drastically. So it'll cause moments of like extreme fatigue, and then moments of maybe hyperactivity. If untreated, it can lead to long-term complications, like for example, I think I read heart disease. You can have osteoporosis. Obviously, I mentioned infertility, and obviously, I also mentioned delayed growth in like children, and And I think one thing that is definitely important that we're seeing more of today is mental health. And it plays a major role in issues such as, like, you know, anxiety, depression, maybe you have brain fog, you know, all of that can be traced to having a hormonal imbalance from your thyroid. And so all of these are things that I didn't necessarily know how much this tiny gland can impact your overall body and so many different functions in your body. And it also feels a little scary because it's like, okay, well, how can you know it exactly comes from there? Because some of these symptoms can also come from other issues, right? And that's why sometimes when you go to the doctor and they seem to be looking at your body in parts, like, oh, the heart, you know, you have the heart doctor, and oh, you have the head brain doctor, and oh, you have like the bones doctor, right? That's why I love acupuncture or Chinese medicine in general, or naturopathic medicine in general, whereas, or should I say holistic medicine, is because in general, they look at the whole body because everything is connected, right? So even if I'm here, yeah, obviously my thyroid had an issue, and that single issue will impact the whole rest of my body, as I listed, right? So you cannot look at the body in parts. Everything functions together. Everything functions together. Everything functions together. Like your heartbeat, we can't even control our heartbeats. Your heartbeat controls a lot of different things. Your lungs control a lot of other things. Your kidneys control a lot of other things, and all of these things are connected together, so that if one organ fails to work efficiently, unfortunately, it will impact all the other functions of your body. And so that's why looking at the body in parts just doesn't work. And when you think about it, when you were in your mother's womb and you were like this tiny little egg that's like not even like yeah, like an egg with no head, nothing. It's just like this egg yolk thing, whatever, the yellow of an egg. You know, when you cook the yellow of an egg, and you were kind of like this. We were all like this. It was all connected together from that little small things. Your brain developed, your hands developed, your legs came out, your vagina or your, you know, whatever stick down there came out. Like all of this was all connected before. And so to look at the body in parts for me just doesn't make sense, right? So that's why I love acupuncture, and that's why I say I love holistic medicine, is because they'll look at the whole body and take your full history and see what could have triggered this whole thing and go from there. And I love that, right? So in terms of so I would definitely say, like, if you have any of these little things, just make sure you go to the doctor and just try. Or actually, you don't even need to. You can do like a test at home to know if you have hyper or hypothyroidism in the morning with a thermometer. I think you leave the thermometer outside in your room, room temperature the whole night, and then in the morning you wake up, you put it under your armpit or under your tongue, I forgot, for like 20 minutes, something like this, and then you read the number that's on there. And if you're within a certain number, then you're fine. If you're under, then that day you're considered hypo, and if you're above, that day you're considered hyper, and then you want to kind of like regulate over the days and see with the food you eat, how you sleep, etc., how to balance it out. And it's in the book I have, and I forgot what the test is called. I will get it, try to put it in the description if I remember. Maybe I should put a note. 1 second. Let me take my pen and... Why is this open? Okay. Yes. No, not that. Yay. Let me take that notepad. Woo! Brrr. test hypo or hyper at home. Call. Yeah, it's in the back of the book. EP02 description. Okay, cool. So I remember because, yeah, let me drink some tea. But yeah, so I will put that in the description because you don't need to necessarily go do blood work, right? And this is a book that's very popular. I think it is it the yeah, I don't want to say a mistake. Detox. I put it on my Instagram a while ago because I read it all and it was amazing. But okay, so now that I went over like the thyroid in general and what it regulates, etc., so I want to specifically talk about like hypothyroidism, right? And what it is. And basically, if you got the gist of it, is hypo is basically the thyroid doesn't produce enough hormones for the body's needs, right? And so the way it affects you, obviously, is that it affects your breathing. You have a harder time breathing, you have a slower heart rate, you have a slower digestion, you have more mood swings, you have temperature intolerances towards the cold. For hypothyroidism, it's mostly the cold. You feel cold very fast. It impacts your cholesterol. It makes your hair like brittle, or like you have breakage, or it becomes thinner, which is definitely something I've experienced. But I didn't know why. I just noticed. And I was like, and that's the thing. You don't think it's anything, right? Because it's just the hair. And I'm like, maybe it's the products I used, or maybe I'm tying my hair too much. It's hard to, it is hard to diagnose, right? I never thought, let me check my thyroid. You know what I mean? No, for me it was maybe just, the products are not taking care of my hair well. Okay. Then it impacts your skin. So dry skin, it impacts your sleep. I was sleeping very poorly. And obviously you have heavier menstruation periods with heavy bleeding, more cramps, more pains. You have a hard time sweating, actually, and that is a problem in itself because you have to sweat. People have to sweat. Sweating is a very efficient way of releasing toxins, just like pee. Is like, the sweat needs to come out because that's the way waste is coming out of your body. Like it needs to come out. If you have a hard time sweating, like you need to make yourself sweat. Then you can experience fatigue, which is definitely something I was experiencing, waking up at 7 a.m. and feeling very, very fatigued at 9 or 12, wanting to go to bed, right? Obviously, again, fertility and more. And the difference between hypo and hyper is that hypothyroidism, right? You'll have the shortness of breath, the slow heart rate. You'll most likely have a weight gain because your metabolism is slower, so you process food slower. You'll have like a very poor digestion. You'll tend to have depression, like I said, cold intolerance, dry skin, like I said, fatigue, and periods, heavy bleeding, whatever. And hypothyroidism, you'll most likely experience weight loss, unexplained, because you digest food like faster or maybe too fast. You'll have like a faster heart rate, so heart palpitations, etc. You might be more irritable, like upset, angry. You might have tremors. You will sweat a lot, and you have a heat intolerance, whereas hypothyroidism, it's a cold intolerance, right? And usually the common causes of hypothyroidism is they'll tell you it's an autoimmune disease, like Hashimoto's disease. And autoimmune disease, we need to talk about this, and I'll have to make another episode talking about what are autoimmune diseases, because it's essentially when the body attacks itself. And they'll tell you we don't know why the body attacks itself, and there's no such thing as the body just randomly attacking itself. I mean, it's absolutely not logical, Like how your body is a very efficient computer that I can't even tell you how the fucking, like how the heart and my legs and arms and eyes and hair and all of it developed in the womb. Like all of it came out and all of it somehow functions together. It's like a perfect computer that we don't know about. We really do not know fully how we function. I mean, our bodies are truly magical. I don't think we're even close to fully understanding how it works because it has so much mysteries. And to claim that we are would be just, is there even a very good term to describe how it would be? I don't even know. No, I don't even want to use foolish. I don't even want to use, what other words would I thinking about? Privileged. No, that's not even it. You know, it's just like to claim that, oh yeah, we know the body. No, I don't think we'll ever know. It's like the universe when you look at the sky and you're like, oh, we know this and that, but at the end of the day, we don't know everything. It's the same thing for the body. I don't think we'll ever fully know how it works because it's just this magical computer that no one programmed except for, you know, except for what? Not even the mom and the dad, not even the mom. Like you know, it's just fascinating. The body is just so fascinating, you know. So yeah. Anyways, I have a fascination for the body. Like yeah. So when we say things such as it's an autoimmune disease and your body attacks itself, well, yeah, okay. My question is, it attacks itself. Why? What is happening that it feels like it needs to attack itself? It means there's something happening, like an underlying issue that my body is like, I need to attack myself because it's not like the body's going to be like, oh, let me attack myself for fun. It's going to be fun. No, it's reacting to something. And so that's something we need to figure out what it is to eliminate it or stop it, right? The body just doesn't randomly do things just to do things, right? So when they say we don't know why autoimmune diseases appear, now I know for a fact by reading books and listening to other doctors that it's actually a very simple thing. You know what I mean? Anyways, let's move on because that shit upsets me because I've been impacted by it, you know what I mean? And when you start finding other answers that on top of that are logical, it's like when you hear it, you're like, oh, wow, actually it's very logical. When things just make sense to you, sometimes it is not as hard as we want to think it is. Sometimes things are actually very easy to understand, and we're tricked that when it's that easy, it cannot be that easy. It must be a little harder. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to medicine, right? When people think of a doctor, they're like, oh my God, like, yeah, I don't know anything about myself. Yeah, but you have your intuition, like you have your logic and you have your intuition. And honestly, sometimes it's all you need. And I know that's all I needed for what I've experienced. And I got the confirmation of it, right? But anyways, let's move on. Yeah, it's annoying. So obviously, so common causes of hypothyroidism, autoimmune disease, it can come from inflammation of the thyroid, which also you would wonder, why is there an inflammation in the thyroid? What's happening? You can have hypothyroidism following thyroid gland removal. You can have it from a radiation therapy, often due to like a cancer treatment. You can have it from medication. So some medication will inhibit hormone production, change your hormone levels, whatever, and then it'll impact your thyroid, okay? And then obviously what I mentioned earlier is that you can have simply, and it's probably one main cause, is an iodine deficiency. And also it can come following like a pregnancy related hormonal change, whether you carry the baby to terms or not. And the standard treatment is usually like a lifelong, either synthetic hormones or desiccated pig hormone, like I took. Some doctors, however, I did see that some doctors will treat you with a diet. And like I explained earlier, how, some doctors explain how you don't, some people do better on certain levels and not others, right? And vice versa. And so some of them actually use diet to help regulate the thyroid gland with success. So it proves that you don't necessarily need the hormones. What you need is to find a good diet, a balanced diet, to actually regulate your hormone. And I know I had found one doctor who she mentioned that, yeah, if it's really bad and they feel really bad, I will put them on the hormones. But as soon as they stabilize, I will remove them off the hormones and follow up with like making sure their diet is good for their thyroid issues, right? So it is possible. I just never got told that. I just got the part where you get the pill, it's for life, And on top of that, when it comes to like a disease, right, there are several ways to heal a disease or an issue you might have with your body, right? If we take cancer, for example, it's like a very controversial like topic, right? When it comes to like healing, obviously because it impacts a lot of people, but several people have healed their cancers, okay? And so both today and in the past, I'll talk about a book later, but as early as like the early 1900s, etc. And there are books, there are people talking about it. It's not new. Like I said, it's not coming from me. So if you want to roast me, it is not coming from me. It is out there in books. And I hate to think about the idea that, cancer today, they've been researching on it for a while. And do you know how many people are dying today? And now you have people in their early 30s who look healthy on the outside, dropping dead or having stage 3 cancer or stage 4 and dying. And I hate that. I really hate that shit, because it's just, you hear it all the time now. It's like a lot of the podcasts, it's like, oh yeah, people, younger folks are getting diagnosed earlier and earlier and earlier. And a lot of it too is actually colon cancer. There are a lot more colon cancer, and colon cancer is basically when your colon is backed up and probably filled with not great things, and unfortunately out of that you develop the cancer, right? But anyway, so there are different ways to heal or treat a disease, like people who are diabetic or who have cancer, for example, on changing their diet and going plant-based for a certain amount of time. After that, if they wanted to go back to certain foods, they were regulating everything they had, right? But in the initial phase was usually about 3 to 6 months of like a pure plant-based diet, and usually those people saw their cancer decrease and leave between 3-6 or up to 1 year. Within that frame, for some people saw their cancer go away, and there are plenty of people talking about it online. You don't have to take my word. I'm not saying, I'm just repeating everything I see and everything I hear, and it is also my belief, now that I understand more how the body works. But you are entitled to your opinion. That's perfectly fine. I'm not trying to offend anyone, and not doctors, not anyone. So please don't come kick my ass, okay? So yeah, so people who are diabetic too with a plant-based diet have been able to reduce their intake, their like a what's it called, oh, words are leaving my mind today. Their medication to the point where they no longer needed it, right? And then you have people who started intermittent fasting or fasting. Having an initial period of fasting, either water fast or juice fast. So water fast maybe for a month or a little over a month, and then or juice fasting for 3 months or 90 days. And then after that, going back to food and doing some intermittent fasting, which I'll go over in another episode. You have other people who have seen results with that and have healed with that. You also have people, for example, for cancer, healing their cancer through hyperbaric oxygen therapy or oxygen therapy. Because cancer cells lacks oxygen, cancer doesn't like oxygen, and if you give it oxygen, it won't be able to thrive in that environment. And so that's why people are having like hyperbaric oxygen therapy and have seen their cancers go away through that therapy, usually within 3 months or somewhere around that line. And I think people go there to Mexico to do it. Actually, there's probably other countries, but as far as here in North America, I don't know for Canada. Actually, I know for people in the US, they go to Mexico to do this, because lacking oxygen kind of inhibits the cancer growth. And that's why I think in the first episode when I mentioned like we need water, we need air, we need like food, right? If you need to breathe properly, oxygen is good for your body. You need to breathe properly. It's good for your brain function. Your brain needs oxygen, right, to make sure you function clearly. And yeah, your body in general needs sufficient oxygen to function. You cannot live without air or without improper or not enough oxygen, sorry. And then before that, you even had something called the Rife's machine, and people are like, oh, that's bullshit, but I forgot his name, but it's named after him, so it's his last name. The Rife machine basically used low frequencies to target cancer cells. It's similar to how when you hit a glass, it has like a certain sound, and when you find out the same frequency of the glass, you're able to break the glass. It's just like salt on a panel with sound. When you play certain frequencies, the salt is going to change patterns, right? Just like certain frequencies will heal you or make you feel a certain way. It's just like music will make you feel a certain way. Some will make you I was about to say angry. Some will make you feel happy. Some will make you feel sad. So we lack the understanding that frequencies have actually a big impact on the body. And just because we cannot see it doesn't mean it's not happening. It's not happening, yeah. And I think sometimes we want to see things to believe it's happening, but we lack the understanding that a lot of things happen without us seeing, right? And so frequencies do impact us in a positive or negative ways, just like we cannot see the wireless like Wi-Fi, right? But I know that and as a matter of fact, that we should start switching it off when we go to bed. Every time I go to my big sister's place, she has the habit of switching off her Wi-Fi. I don't know if she still does it, but I know every time I went to sleep with her or at her house when I was in Paris and she lived there, she was switching off the Wi-Fi, and every freaking time I was sleeping better, right? Because we're so connected. The phone, in the house, there's Wi-Fi everywhere. There's like radio waves everywhere, microwaves everywhere, and we really don't think it impacts us, right? Just because we can't see it. So it's hard to imagine how it impacts you, but it's such on a minimal level that you might not even see how it might just change your mood a little bit. You know what I mean? So anyways, he figured out that a certain frequency is basically, it's like a glass, those cancer cells kind of break down or die, right? And so he did heal several patients, and apparently I think the government took his machine or said they wanted to buy it, and obviously it never saw the light of day. And then after that, the guy died. You know, such a typical story, right? So there you go. So there's different ways, obviously, to heal something you might have, right? So for myself, I talk about juicing. It doesn't have to be juicing. For someone, it might just be that, yeah, they'll change their diet without doing a cleanse, and then they'll start doing some intermittent fasting. But obviously, when you don't do a cleanse or you don't do a detox, it's going to take you longer, because your gut bacteria or your gut flora, whatever, it will take a while to adjust from for example, if you switch your diet to junk food to all of a sudden healthy food, like, your body still has that in it, and it's going to take a while for it to get out. It's not a matter of like 2-3 months or a year. It can take up to 5 years, right? And that's why, to speed up the process, you want to fast, you want to give your stomach a break, and then you want to cleanse and detox. You want to get all these things out of your system, so you can now replace it with good stuff, and also give your digestive system a break that it needs to go and heal you, right? Because we are, again, digesting all the time, especially if we eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and that in between you have snacks. It means your stomach is constantly digesting, and it's never resting. And I think we don't realize, again, here, that when your body is not digesting, it is healing you. It is fixing whatever it needs to be fixed. And so that's why, even if you don't like it, it is actually very important to give your stomach a break once in a while, 16 hours, 24 hours, to kind of let it fully digest, let it rest, and then it'll do other things that you are not aware it does, that is very good for your body. In terms of cancer, right, there's a book I really need to read, but I know kind of the gist of it, the story, but it's called The Grape Cure by Johanna Brandt. And she was born in 1871, okay? And in her family, everyone got cancer. And so obviously, when she got diagnosed with cancer, she wasn't surprised. As a matter of fact, she was waiting for death, okay? It was the early 1900s, and she was waiting for death. And then, I think she was okay with dying of cancer, and she did not want necessarily to heal any of it initially, because she didn't want medication, right? So for her, she saw it as an escape. She didn't want drugs. And then in the book, she says she came across a book called The Fasting Cure that was written in 1911. So at that point, so keep in mind, she was born in 1871, and that book that she read was written in 1911. So she read it probably around that same time or just after, right? So she read it, and then she got like a surge of hope. And she said, I think I quote, "Here was something that appealed to my common sense, something constructive, nature cure." So that's what she says in the book. And so at that point, she fasted for 7 days, and obviously nothing happened, because not anything's gonna happen in 7 days. It's just the beginning, bro. And then she set up, from that experience, she loved it still, right? But she set up like a free fasting business where she would basically supervise people to fast, but still, for her, she could not heal herself of the cancer, but she could heal others, or others could heal themselves with her guidance, right? And so she tried different types of like fast, and she even starved herself, to starve the cancer, because she wanted it gone. And she got basically successful at starving it. So basically she stopped the growth of the cancer, but she didn't get rid of it, right? And all of that kind of lasted 9 years because she didn't really like do a cleanse or a detox. She was mostly like fasting for 7 days, for 14 days, right? And so I think at some point by accident she had grapes. I think yeah. I think, wait, do I have this in my little thing? Because I just tried to make sure I had this. How did she come across the grapes? Because I think they were living by someone who was cultivating grapes. But for her, she discovered it basically as an accident. So she started just fasting on grapes, not knowing what it would do to her. And lo and behold, after 6 weeks and seeing the doctor, her cancer was gone. And then she says in the book that I would have never put myself through so much if I only knew that in 6 weeks my cancer could have been gone with the grapes, right? And after that, and that woman, I should have mentioned, she was from South Africa, and so she traveled to the US after, wanting to share her discoveries that I healed myself of cancer with seeded grapes, right? And she was surprised and frustrated because no one would hear her and people would think she's crazy, blah 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 blah. And so I really want to read that book because it seems very interesting, just to hear her perspective, and especially because it's someone born in 1871 who was okay with dying, you know what I mean, and who put herself through 9 years of trying to find what could work for her, to the point where accidentally she discovered something. And so I did a little bit of research, and a lot of other people have actually healed themselves of cancer with seeded grapes. And I was like, okay, what's the thing with seeded grapes, right? And apparently it's that they're just very, very, very good at breaking down mucus buildup and healing the body, right? So the seeds are very rich in something they call polyphenols, and these are compounds that are basically known for their powerful like anti-inflammatory and anti-mucus properties. So it makes the grapes very effective at clearing up any mucus buildup you have in the body, right? And on top of that, the fruit itself has fiber, and then on top of that, so fiber helps with the detoxification and the gut, cleaning the gut, and on top of that you have the water content of the grape itself that keeps you hydrated, right? So the polyphenols, they basically protect your body from getting hurt by free radicals, right? Toxins. And then you have other compounds. I think one of them is called flavonoids, and they basically kind of make you stronger and they help you fight germs that are making you sick. And then there are other compounds that are called tannins, right? They kind of help sweep things in your body that don't belong there, to keep it like clean and healthy, right? And then there's another one that's called this one, I don't know how to pronounce it. Let me see if I have it written. Yes, proanthocyanidins. I don't know if I said that right, but anyways, they basically protect your cells from like getting hurt from bad stuff, like maybe rust, metals, right? Because you can ingest metals, right? Like, yeah. So all these things. So the seeds are basically full of these compounds, and these compounds are very effective at removing all of that. Not to mention that the seed comes with the fiber, of the fruit itself, both within the seed when you chew it and from the fruit, right? The skin, and then the water content that's in there will keep you hydrated. So it's like a full package, right? And then it got me to wonder, okay, why the hell am I not able to find seeded grapes ever? Except maybe the Asian store here. But you have people who are unable today to find seeded grapes. Just tell me who the fuck complained that the seed in the grapes is a problem. Why would they remove seed out of the grapes? Just like why would they remove the seeds out of the freaking watermelons? And how the hell can they allow themselves to call these fruits organic when it's clearly not? Because those fruits are able to grow from the seed. The seed bears life. That's why it pushes the fruit to become the fruit that we eat. So how can you make the food grow without the seed that is giving it its life? It means obviously you had to come there and do something to it, okay, to make it grow. It's totally unnatural. It's not natural. But we eat it every day and no one asks questions. So sometimes I go to the store and I'm like, I remember one time we went to Whole Foods and there was like was it a watermelon or the grapes? And then out loud, I was like, how the hell can they call this shit organic when there's no seeds in there? It's not organic. It's not nature made. Nature didn't make this fruit, because if nature made this fruit, there would be a seed in it. It just doesn't make sense. And so I much rather buy at the Asian store the seeded grapes that I find than buy grapes that are seedless called organic at Whole Foods or somewhere else, because it just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, well, I'll go deeper into this. It's been an hour and a half, so I'll go soon, but I want to go deeper into this on another episode, because I do believe so the reason why I changed my diet, and I think maybe the one I'm gonna do after is about the reason why I changed my diet and maybe fasting. So I'll go deeper into this, right? But I believe I was going to get sick. I had the intuition I was going to get sick. So I did not just out of the blue decide to do this, right? I believe there was something telling me that I need to do this because I was going to get maybe sick, and sickness for me is not something that's acceptable. I don't want to tolerate it. I don't like feeling sick. Therefore, I must be healthy. It's not a choice. It's just a fact. I need to be healthy, and I am healthy, and I will stay healthy. There's no way in hell this body can host a disease or nothing. No, I don't claim that. I claim health. In my life, I claim health, I claim wealth, and I claim happiness. That's all I care about. I want to be healthy, and I want to live a healthy life. I don't want to have pains. I don't want to have fatigues. I don't want to have muscle. Like, I want to be healthy because I want to be functioning well. I want to be feeling well all the time. Not saying that I cannot take like bad days, etc., or like a hard life stuff. I can. I just want myself in my body to feel healthy. And if I can do it alone via food and via proper hydration, via different practices that makes you stay healthy, then that's what I'm gonna have to do. Because if I have to choose between feeling sick and experiencing all like muscle soreness and pains and stuff as I'm getting older, this is just, I don't understand. No, wait, no, you don't understand. This is just not a possibility for me. I don't want that shit. That's not how I want to grow old. And that's why whenever I do things outside, I am always careful. Or like the way I jump or the way I go walk in the mountains, whatever. I'm always paying attention to where I walk. Not that I'm like pushing it, you know what I mean? But when you do things, you want to be aware, because any accident or anything that has to do with your body, if left untreated, you see the repercussion of it when you're older. Like, it's gonna come back, right? If you had a knee injury, you want to take care of it right away. You want to make sure you take care of your knee, because as you get older, it's only gonna get worse if you don't take care of it now. You know what I mean? I kind of see it that way. So I'm trying to, when I do things, I think about how it might impact me later. You know, I think about those things, because it's just like I talked earlier. It's like talking about an earthquake or other things. Like, you want to just be cautious in some ways and know what the actions you take now, how it will impact you in the future. That's how I think about things for myself, right? I'm not being anal about it. Absolutely not. I don't want to be like anal about it, but I want to think about it, because it's just what happens. It's the truth. Things you do today will impact you tomorrow, right? So those things are important for me. But anyway, so when I was researching for fruits that are very similar to grapes and contains the same compounds, because by the time you probably listen to this will be in January, and the way I want to start the new year is yes, I did 21 days 2 times for fasting, right? But I want to do 3 months, because like I said, I will talk about it later, but I really believe I was going to get sick of what? I suspect something that I'll tell you as well in another episode, I think after this one. But so I need to do something that's longer, and I feel like there will be no best ways to start the year but with doing a fast of like 3 months with pomegranate. Yes, I will be eating a lot of pomegranate and juicing and eating raw, just fruits. I think I'll do just fruits. I'll keep you updated. But focusing mostly on pomegranate, definitely, because while researching what is the closest to grapes is pomegranate. Since I cannot find seeded grapes easily, but I can find pomegranates right now easily, and obviously they always have seeds. I don't know how you would remove the seeds from a pomegranate, okay? I love pomegranate, so that's what I'll be doing. And it has the same compounds as the seeded grapes, so I want to try that. I don't know what that was. And outside of pomegranate, if you were interested, the rest of it that is very close to grapes are berries, because all berries are very rich in polyphenols, like blackberries, goji berries, elderberries, cherries, acai, and etc. And then after that, you have grapefruits, I think it is, and you have kiwis, and you have apples. Bananas, I don't think so, but maybe. Then again, I don't know. But then again, it doesn't have like a lot of water content, like it barely, right? So you want to keep it to like a water dense like fruits. But yeah, so that's gonna it, guys. And just to keep in mind, like and again, I want to say that, you know, although I'm pretty good with my diet, and I did like those 2 fasts, and I've been cleansing and all of that, I'm still not healed. And you know, and it takes time, because as much as I spent a lot of time during my life like eating the wrong foods, right? Not paying attention to my diet, thinking I was eating right? Not hydrating properly, not exercising enough, etc., etc. And a lot of the time when you enter this, you want things to be quick and easy. You want to heal fast, right? Sometimes I get impatient, but it took a long time for the body to get to where it is. And so it's going to take a long time for it to completely heal and go away, unless you're you're prepared to go through like 3 months or 6 months or a year of very paying close attention to your diet, right? And being very strict. And a lot of people don't like that and don't want to do that, right? So it all depends on how fast you want it gone, you know. But for me, I was comfortable in doing like 21 days, etc. But I realized for me it's not enough. I need more, and I didn't feel ready to do like longer. But now I feel like this is how I need to be starting the year. And every time I've at least the second fast I've done where I focused on juicing and that's it, I had so much time to meditate and focus on myself, and it was great. And so I feel like if I do that for 3 months, it'll just be amazing. I'll come out of it just feeling amazing. Oh, you know what? Before I go, I just want to mention, because I did mention earlier about mucus, right? And how the grapes are very efficient in removing mucus out of the body. And basically, a mucus buildup is what is believed to be the cause of like 90% of human diseases. And it's not me again who's saying this. It's in books, it's in videos, it's in different doctors from Asia, Europe, North America, South America. Like it's been known, right, that and what creates the mucus is too much acidity in the body, because the body is meant to be alkaline. The only place in the body that should be acidic and very acidic should be your stomach, because it is where you should be digesting food, and in order for the food to break down, you need the acidity, right? And so that's why, please, if you're eating and drinking at the same time, you want to stop drinking, because you're reducing the acidity in your stomach, and you might have acid reflux because of that. So you want to drink 10 minutes before you eat, or 30 minutes after, minimum. But yeah, so mucus definitely is important in the body, right? It's not all mucus that is bad. The only reason why it becomes bad is because you accumulate it and you get like a thicker mucus build up in the body, and that's when it becomes bad, right? So when your body basically detects something that is harmful, like a virus, like a bacteria, or anything that's an irritant like smoke or pollution, it basically triggers inflammation to fight it, right? Inflammation. Okay, and this is a part of this response, right? Your body produces extra mucus to trap and remove the harmful substance, and then that's how it comes out of your body via the mucus. So that's why it's important to make sure your body functions well, because when your body functions well, that mucus will not accumulate in the body; it will come out, right? And you notice it says, or I said, that because I have my notes here, that what did I write? I can't believe I said that. It says to something I wrote. Yes. So basically, you notice it says, I was about to say again, it says, I wrote, but then it says, because I'm reading it, right? So it triggers inflammation, okay? Due to like a defense mechanism, right? So you get inflammation because you're fighting something. You wouldn't get any inflammation if your body was not fighting something. And so if you have an inflammation, it means your body is fighting something, and you need to find what that something is, because the more you are inflamed, the more you accumulate whatever it is that's there, and the more it gets worse, and the more mucus you accumulate in the body, okay? And then the more of the sicker you get. Like arthritis is basically too much mucus in the joints, and it basically is an inflammation of the joints, because you have accumulated mucus over there, too much mucus, right? So it triggers an inflammation, and then you got arthritis from it. So my nose is itchy. And so basically if you have an overproduction of that, like what's it called, the mucus, right? Then from it you get a chronic inflammation, like arthritis as an example. It stays there, it becomes chronic, and that is due to things like, maybe you're stressed a lot, maybe you have a poor diet, maybe you have allergies, but then where are your allergies come from? All of that is basically saying to your body to make more mucus to fight the inflammation, to help it, but then it stays trapped in your body, and so you keep putting yourself in this situation where you have a buildup and it's unable to come out, and then it clogs your airways, it clogs your digestive system, and all of that will lead to discomfort, and all of that stays in the body. And the means by which it should be coming out, because it's clogged now, it doesn't come out, it stays in your body, and the cycles continue, chronic, and it builds up until you get sicker and sicker. And so that mucus, it becomes thicker and it becomes stickier, and so because of that, it's harder for your body to remove it naturally, right? So now, unfortunately, this creates an environment that is perfect for bacteria to grow, potentially leading to obviously more infections and more inflammations, and then you're in that cycle and that loop again. And that's why it's important to watch your diet. It's important to make sure you detox and you cleanse and you give yourself breaks, because otherwise you keep your body in flames. And a lot of times, I think I said it in the first episode, and if I didn't say it, I'm going to say it again, or I'm going to say it here, is that oftentimes you only start seeing the symptoms 10 years after, for some people 20 years after, right? The inflammation, when it started, it's barely visible. You barely get any symptoms. And if you do get any symptoms, there are little things that you think is just, I'm just tired, or I just have my nose is runny, and yeah. And you don't realize that, that runny nose, the fact that you get a runny nose is actually really good, because it means the mucus comes out. If your body is making it come out, it means it needs to come out. And so when people take medication, that'll make them stop blowing their nose because their nose is just too runny. You're actually hurting yourself even more, because instead of letting go of that mucus by letting it coming out of your body, with that pill, you're stopping it from letting it come out of your body. And so that mucus, instead of coming out, that your body is intelligent, it's pushing it out because it's not good for you. You're taking that pill, you're suppressing it. And so all that mucus is stopped, and it's stuck. It is stuck there, in your body, and it stays there until the next time you get a runny nose, and then you take a pill again because it's too runny, and then you stop that process again. Right? And again for years and years and years, until you're building that mucus. And yes, it's not fast. It happens very slow. And so that's why you have younger and younger people having cancer, diabetes, etc. And we see that with the rise of, obviously, fat food or fast food, or ultra processed food, all this type of food that we're eating all the time. Now we have people getting sicker and sicker, and you can imagine how all of this is actually the cause of inflammation. And that on top of that, if you take pills to suppress the elimination of all of this mucus buildup when you get sick with that food that we're eating, right? Then it just basically, your body becomes like this thing that inside it is full of mucus and full of, not so healthy stuff that are unable to come out. And then you can see how in 20 years you land at the doctor, and unfortunately you have a bad news. And on top of that, they make you feel like you have no ways to treat it. You're just stuck with it, right? And so that's why when I go back to the beginning, and I said the universal disease of mankind, Buddha taught, is ignorance, and wisdom is the only remedy. That's why it's important. It's because the more you know how your body functions, the more you are able to show up for yourself and understand your body better, and understand in your own way how your body is working for you, what signals it gives you, when should you pay attention or not, is it a small thing or is it a bigger thing, when to go check it out. And if you do go check it out, just to make sure you don't feel powerless when the doctor tells you something you don't want to hear, that you know that you do have power, and the power to do something, and that comes with educating yourself and educating ourselves about how our bodies actually work, because we do not know how it works, and you do not need to know like a medical doctor knows how this and that works within your body. It's actually very simple. As long as you know the basics, then you'll be fine, But yeah, so that was definitely important to mention. Yeah, I'll be coming back to it. And I think my next episode will definitely be about why I changed my diet and what's like inflammations and stuff like this. So you better understand. And the reason why I said that I really believe that I was going to get sick. And that it is why I changed my diet. So yeah, guys, this was long. Thank you for sticking around if you did. If you did not, well, you won't hear this, so it's okay. But if you did, I hope this was kind of like interesting. And yeah, I have things to do. It's Friday. I think I'm gonna make raw tacos tonight, so I need to go suck my walnuts and suck my sun-dried tomatoes. Yeah, thank you for being here. I really appreciate if you're here. And again, if it's just me, I had a nice talk. I feel like I got a lot out and I'm happy about it. I feel like my brain is going to be resting. It's kind of like a meditation or like journaling for me to talk, so that's great. And yeah, so I really appreciate you. I really appreciate everyone. I really appreciate this. I really appreciate the day that I had. I'm very grateful for everything that I have. I'm grateful to know more about my body. I'm thankful for my body. My body is just amazing, and I recognize how much it loves me, and I love it too, and I respect it more now that I know more about it. And yeah, I'm just very, very, very grateful for everything that's happening right now, all that knowledge I gained or everything I came across. And yeah, just doing this too, yeah, thank you so much. And I will see you someday. Bye. Good morning, good day, good evening, or good